Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. Oh, the weight of the whole world is now off my shoulders. It felt just terrible trying to do those goofy taxes. You just don't, it's just something everybody dreads every year, And the fact that I don't pay any in during the year makes you really kind of worry until you get it done. As it turned out, it worked out just fine. I probably paid less taxes than dang near anybody watching this, mostly because I made less money. If you don't make a lot of money, you don't have to pay a lot of taxes. So it worked out just fine. I got no complaints, other than the fact that they're going to waste what little bit I did pay in, and that part, it's just sad, really sad. I got some other sad news I got to talk to you about too later. Again, it's all government related. Pitiful, just pitiful. But anyway, I thought I'd start this off with a song that I guess I'll send this out to my wife, Sue, since she's on her way driving to see the boys again out there in Ohio. She's going to help them with their new chickens that they're getting. I think they're setting up some sort of a chicken pen or hut or something. They're putting it out in the tall trees and vines and weeds so that the neighbors don't see it. I'm telling you, I think they're in for trouble because they're in a pretty ritzy neighborhood. I just can't picture this, but at least there's a lot of room between the houses, so hopefully it won't be much of a problem. But you cannot not hear a rooster crowing. I think they're in for trouble. So I'll send this out to you guys too, because you kind of have been there also. I've been throwing horseshoes over my left shoulder, and I spent most of my life searching for that four-leaf clover. Yep, you ran with me, chasing my rainbow. And honey, I love you too. That's the way love goes. That's the way love goes, babe. That's the music God made for the whole wide world to sing. It never gets old, it only grows. Losing makes me sorry. You say, honey, don't worry. And honey, I love you too. That's the way love goes. And honey, I love you too. That's the way love goes. Wonderful song, just a great song. That was written by Lefty Frizzell. My original version that I heard of it was by Johnny Rodriguez. I know that Merle Haggard also did it. Once Merle does a song, it's a Merle song. It doesn't matter who did it before or after. It's a Merle song. But I do remember Johnny Rodriguez putting that out and having a big hit with it. And it was a great song. Hope you enjoyed it. I, looked at the auction this morning. By the way, that was the auction guitar. And the auction is up to $1,150 at the moment. Still a great buy for a guitar like that. And anyway, I thought we'd try oil in that bridge. Paper towel. Be Good oil. This oil is food safe. Not that it really matters for a bridge, but it is. And you can see that it's just raw wood right now. It's not had anything put on it. It's the Purple Heart. which I did on purpose because of the Purple Heart given to the wounded soldiers. No, I didn't do it on purpose. I just wished I had thought of that, because I definitely would have had I thought of it. But someone pointed that out yesterday. I think it was Fred Martin, I think, pointed it out. I could have that wrong. But anyway, thank you for pointing that out, because it does make sense. Anyway, let's just show you what this is going to make it look like. Just putting it on that one side right now. Changes it all together, don't it? Going to be difficult to get it down in between the strings, because I got the strings on it there, but I'll worry about that later, and I'll just get a little brush and get in there and put it on there and clean it up. And then I'll just take a dry towel and wipe it off. And the oil doesn't hurt if you get it on the finish. It's perfectly fine. Just wipe it off. That makes it look really nice and dark. Very nice guitar. This, now again, I'm not saying it because we're auctioning it off. I'm telling you, this is a good guitar. It's a nice guitar. You'll like it if you end up with it. Let's see. Let me close this up before we have an accident. Speaking of accidents, I'm going to show you an accident that I almost had also. I got all kinds of stuff for you this morning. And somebody played right into my hands. Actually, I played into their hand. They're the one, they said something in the comments before we went live, and it made me think of an accident I almost had, so I'm going to show you that too. Let's see. Okay, we got that far. Tom Williams from the Thumb of Michigan called this morning. He's just a viewer that is very appreciative, and he was very, very nice. Really nice to talk to him. He called just before we went live, and all he wanted to say was how much he enjoyed the channel and how much he appreciated what we do here. And so I say thank you to Tom Williams up there in the Thumb of Michigan. And I do get lots of calls like that. Again, I don't generally talk about them, but this one happened just before we went live, so I thought it was the perfect time to say something. And thank you, Tom. I really do appreciate all of you people. I know I don't say it enough, really, and I really do. I've said it once before, at least, that you guys have saved my farm. I am not making that up. My retirement ran out. Again, thanks to government crap more than anything. But anyway, that all ran out, and so I knew I was going to have to sell the farm, because there's no way you can keep this place up. But you all have saved it for me. You really have, and I can't thank you enough. Oakland, California. On the news, I just saw it on the news. It was a day or two ago, but I just saw it on the news this morning. This is so pitiful. I mean, on one hand, I get it. I kind of get why they do what they do, and I kind of get that they didn't know the circumstances, sort of, kind of. But they could make it right, too, you know. And that is, they sent a letter to a 102-year-old man and fining him $1,300 if he doesn't get his graffiti cleaned up by a certain date. Now, he's got graffiti on a fence that goes, you know, around the corner of his property. He's 102 years old. He's in a wheelchair, and they're fining him $1,300 to clean up the graffiti. Just so happened, the news cameras showed a little bit of graffiti in the city. Just pretty much everywhere. Pretty much everywhere. It's on their parking signs. It's on... Oh, this stuff like that just makes me so mad. I would love to get right up in the middle of their stupid council meeting or whatever you want to call it and just jump up and down on their desk and kick the papers everywhere. It just makes me so mad. We just have lost our common sense in this world. And it's so sad. It's just so sad. I would throw such a fit if I was up there where I could get a hold of these people. On his behalf, I'd go storm in their office. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Of course, I realized when they sent the letter, they probably didn't know he was 102, 103. But they still could make it right, too, you know. But they don't. You know, they showed electric company, you know, termination boxes, these big, you know, transformer boxes and things like that, and they're just covered in graffiti, too. Do you think they're finding the electric company? It's pitiful. Just plain flippin' pitiful. That's where, you know, we were talking yesterday about it's a good thing we don't get all the government we pay for. Well, like I said, sometimes we get more government than we pay for. That's what I'm talking about. I finished my taxes, and life is good again, and I paid way less than most everybody out there. Really tickled to have that done and behind me. Oh, my gosh. Let's see, what else? I went metal detecting yesterday after, you know, it was pretty late in the day. I think I only went out there for about an hour, from about 6 to 7 in the evening. And all I did was just piddle around right here by the buildings and, you know, down by the barn there and stuff. I'll show you I didn't find anything real good, but you talk about 3 random things. First thing I found, now this thing sounded like $1 million because it's brass. It's just a latch, you know, it's like they would use on a lead rope or something. But this one was used a lot. You can see that because look how wore out it is right up there in the. Can you see how wore it is there at the top? You can see something's been pulling on it right there. Boy, I mean, they wore this thing out. And it takes a while to wear brass out that much, you know. But it is solid brass. It sounded like $1 million on the detector. So you always got your hopes up that you're going to find something cool, you know, like a silver dollar or something. Turned out it was that. Here's another thing. Speaking of electric companies, I'm pretty sure this is an electric cover, like, you know, like where they have the wires coming out of the top of a well or something like that. They usually have some little cover like this covering those wires. And that's what I think this is. It's aluminum. It also sounded really good because it's a big piece of aluminum. But here's the interesting thing that I'm posing a trivia question to you guys. When did they quit putting these on cars? You can see it's an aerial. This was buried in the barn lot down there, about 6 inches deep. I'm not kidding you. The whole thing. It doesn't work at this joint here. It still does kind of work a little bit up at the top joint. But when did they quit putting these on cars? Anybody know for sure? Because maybe they still put them on some. I don't know. But I haven't seen an aerial on a car in a long time. So I'm thinking in the 70s, maybe 80s, somewhere in there. So anyway, this has been laying in the ground quite a while, I'm sure. Of course, it doesn't have to be a long time, but 6 inches under the ground, it was probably laying there quite a while. So anybody have any idea how to tell what this is off of? That would be kind of interesting. Is it off of a car or is it off of a truck? Anybody have any ideas? I don't know enough about cars and trucks to have a good guess. My guess would be a truck because it was in the barn lot, but then again, you never know. It might be off of a Porsche, for all I know. Let's see. The Martins are back. Here is I've showed you a little clip here and there, but here's they're back, I think, for good now. So take a look at this. Well, the Martins are doing well. The little the cliff swallows are landing on this other set of houses, and I think it kind of drives the Martins crazy. But these cliff swallows are very similar to the Martins, but they're smaller. That was Yeah, I wish the cliff swallows would leave. I'm not real happy about them. There's a lot of martins doing well this year. You got one martin hanging on the new houses. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm always happy to see my martins. I've told you before that my main reason is kind of a tie to my mother. She always wanted to have martins, and I don't think she ever got them. Scott said she did, but I think only thing she ever got was barn swallows, and she got those quite a bit, but I don't think she ever got martins, because martins won't fly in unless you get a lot of room, and where she was trying to get them, we didn't know all that at the time, and she had a house up that was, well, it was just surrounded by trees and things, and typically you're not going to get them that way. If you really ever do want to get martins, the first thing to do is get gourds. They like the gourds better than they like houses. They do go in houses, but they do like the gourds better, so they're more attracted to the gourds. Hang them high, hang them at least 12 feet above the ground, at least that, and 15 feet's better. It's good if you have a wire or two in the general area. I have a wire strung between those two poles just for the martins. That's what I strung it up there for. And it's not bad if you have water within the vicinity. And it's also good if you've got, buildings within the general area, but you don't want them real close. Like if you've got them 60, 80 feet away, that's pretty good. But you want to have open fly-in area. It needs to have big open fly-in area. Trees, close by, generally is not a good thing. So anyway, those are just some tips if you are trying to get martins. It really does help to put up the gourds and put them up high. And generally speaking, you'll get them fairly easy if you do that. Okay, having said that, took me like 15 years to get them back after the hawks killed them off. I had it before. By the way, on those gourds, the original gourds, they liked them a lot, but they didn't have the long entrances. So you want to get the gourds that have the long tube entrance, because that keeps the hawks from reaching in and grabbing the babies, because the hawks will do that. They'll hang on there and stick their heads in and grab the babies and pull them out. So anyway, I didn't know that at the my first go around either. Let's see, my plans for today and the weekend are: today I'm definitely getting into the email, going to get that all caught up. I'm going to go down to the office, clean up the office, do my end of year. See, when I do my taxes, that's my end of year for my business, and I roll over everything and clean up everything. I'm going to do a big house cleaning down there, so that's going to be my next thing. I'm going to clean up stuff that's been laying around for years too. That's, I save everything paperwork wise and stuff. And what is it? 7 years is how long you need to save it. Well, I got stuff back there 15 years, I'm sure. So I'm going to do some major house cleaning. I've got to get working on Sue's lawn tractor, and now's the perfect time since she's gone, and I can get that fixed up and have it ready when she gets back, and that way she'll be real happy. She'll be as happy about that as I was by getting the taxes finished. And then I also want to get back on the water wheel project. I'm hoping to get all that caught up and done so that I can get on the water wheel thing this weekend yet, and hopefully start actually building the wall. Wouldn't hurt if I got out and found a few more morel mushrooms. And if I have time, I'm going to try to get some kind of video out this weekend too. I don't have anything to do. I never do. I'm bored all the time. I just can't hardly stand it. I'm so bored. I don't know how the rest of you do it. I am so, there's just so much to do. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. David Tharp, Jerry, did you get done with the annual unpleasantness? Yes, I did. I think I called it in the comments down there, TTT, Tax Time Tribulations. I'm finished with it, and it's good, and it's over with, and I'm so tickled. And you might say, why didn't you do it earlier? Why did you wait till the last minute? Well, you got to pay. Why do it early? Why pay early? And I knew I've been through this. It ain't my first rodeo. I knew how long it would take me to do it, so I just waited until I had just the right amount of time and did it. Moving on down. Lots more comments here. Dottie Hildebrand, praying for your hands. Thank you, Dottie. They hurt all the time. I'm just like as we sit here right now. It's just nuts how it just can't quit hurting anymore. I saw someone in here put in, did you try such and so again? And I know that's coming up here, but I've pretty much given up. I'm not trying nothing else. And more than likely, the ingredient you're talking about was in some of the stuff I've already tried, because I've tried way over 100 things. I've tried gazillions, and I'm just done trying. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. It is what it is. I do not have a placebo gene, folks, and I don't mean that in any kind of negative manner. What I mean is stuff is black and white with me. It either works or it don't work, and hardly anything works. I mean, hardly anything does. Aspirin seems to help as much as anything for me. Tylenol, ibuprofen, I've said for years, that stuff don't do nothing. And there's a lot of studies coming out now saying that it's all placebo. It doesn't do anything at all. So, anyway, I pretty much agree with that because I don't think it does anything. Like when I say nothing, I mean zero nothing. It don't do nothing. I might as well be drinking water. It don't do anything. David Tharp, I had to put memory foam in my shoes so I can finally remember why I came into the room. Dang, I'm getting me some of that stuff. That never happens to me. Never happens more than 4, 5, 6 times a day. Richard Cooksey, good morning. I know you've tried just about it. Yeah, this is the one. Diclofenac sodium topical gel. I appreciate it, Richard. I really do. I'm not trying to be negative on it. I'm done. I'm just not trying nothing else at this point. It's over with. I've tried so many things. I couldn't even begin to tell you how many things I've tried. In fact, just the other day, I cleaned out the drawer. I threw away 5 or 6 tubes of stuff. I just threw it away. Let's see. Dottie's still got some issues there, and praying for you too, Dottie. The knees give you the trouble. I've been fairly fortunate. I don't have too much knee trouble. Every once in a while they kind of flare up, but not too bad overall. Let's see. Wayne Blitz, Jerry, glad to see you wearing chainsaw leggings when you were working with the chainsaw. Yeah, and I answered that by saying, yeah, chainsaws are pretty hazardous, and I've used them so much that either sooner or later, and then I just put ... it's going to get you. That's just the way it is with a chainsaw. You got to be careful with them, and I try to be really careful. And this is where I'm going to show you the accident I almost had. And now, let me put it in context first. First of all, we had this place logged, so there's gazillions of treetops on the sides of these really steep hills. And I mean, these are steep hills, like seriously telling you that there's some of them you cannot walk up without holding on to saplings and trees growing there, and then you more or less grab a hold of those, pull yourself up, and walk up the hill. Because if you just try to walk, I mean, it's really steep, and the rocks are rolling under your feet. That's what caused this. See this right here? Can you see that big groove right through there? What do you think caused that? I was on one of those steep hillsides, and the rock slipped out from under me. The chainsaw went down and hit the end of my boot. And fortunately, and you can believe what you want, but I have incredibly fast reflexes. And my finger, as I slipped, my finger came off that trigger, and, that's also what saved it. Had I kept my finger on the trigger, I'd probably have, instead of just one big toe, I'd have 2. Because it'd be split down the middle. I'm talking about on that one foot. I'd have 2 on the one foot. Yeah, it's dangerous. So after that happened, I made up my mind that I don't do that anymore. I'm not cutting them on those steep hillsides anymore. So that's why I, had to get that grapple bucket working. If you remember when I had the problem with the grapple bucket, I I go down those steep hills. That bobcat will go anywhere. So start down those steep hills. I grab the tree and I back up and with the grapple bucket and pull it up onto the flat surface. Way safer, especially because there's so much rock in this ground. I mean, it wouldn't be quite so bad if it wasn't, the rocks would just roll out from under you. And boy, you just hit the ground. And that's what happened on that. Whew. It's dangerous. It is. It's real dangerous. Nobody knows how dangerous it is any better than I do. Trust me. I don't take it for granted, not one little bit. Moving on down. David Tharp. In my mind, I'm still 25, but my body thinks my mind is an idiot. Well, I'll tell you what. If I didn't really, I do have the arthritis pain, but if it weren't for the arthritis pain, and if it wasn't for looking in mirrors, I'd swear I was 25. I really would. Even with the arthritis pain, and it's not just in my hands, guys. I mean, it's all through my back, my neck. That's why I cannot lay down. You know, it's in my hips. It's really bad in my hips, actually. It's probably almost worse in my hips than it is anywhere. But I still can get around as long as I'm in an upright position. I can get around just fine. I can still walk up the steepest hill here, and 15-year-old kids can't keep up. That's all I know. It's so that's why I say if it wasn't for the arthritis and it wasn't for looking in mirrors, I'd swear I was 25 too. John Pepper, Jerry, watching Itchy Boots in Madagascar. I'm amazed that her GPS has all the roads and trails identified. Well, I think that's what part of her complaint is, that she doesn't have her regular unit with her. She's using something, I don't know, borrowed or rented, or she bought something separate over there. I don't know, and it's not as good as what she usually has. But man, you'd have to hold a gun to my head to make me do what she's doing for free. Golly, isn't it nuts? Absolutely nuts. Just when you think it can't get any worse, it seems to somehow get worse. And putting those motorcycles in those dugout canoes, hauling them across those rivers. I mean, that works for her. But I guarantee you that thing would be upside down in that water, and you'd never see it again. I don't see how that happens. I just don't see how it doesn't matter where she's at. She can be in the, you or me out in the desert, we're dying of thirst, and we're just on our last leg. Well, if she's in that particular position, here come a food truck right up the desert right next to her. I mean, that's just the way the luck she seems to have. Doesn't matter where she's at. Somebody will come walking by and say, "Hey, do you need help?" It's amazing. It's just flat amazing. Sidecar Bob, look up grooveless gun cartridge. I think that's what one you found. So you think it looks like this? Because I ain't seen nothing that looks like this. It's not focusing on it, of course. Grooveless gun cartridge. I'll write that down because I'll forget by the time this is gone. Grooveless gun cartridge. Okay, I'll look that up. I would love to find something that looks like this. Like I said, I'm not even 100% sure it's a bullet, but I don't know what else it could be. It looks like a bullet. Let's see, moving. Okay, John Pepper. I really like the way the auction guitar sounds, and I also like your singing. Well, thank you kindly. I appreciate it. Yeah, you got to be pretty brave to even sing a Merle song, or just don't give a rip. Yeah, once Merle does them, they're pretty much stamped. You know what I mean? Oh man, that guy is something else. Just was something else. Bill Webb, I wish I sang well enough and had enough confidence to sing live on YouTube or Facebook. Well, you don't necessarily have to sing well enough or any of that. You just have to, I don't know, just have the guts or just don't give a rip, one of the two. Or don't have enough sense to know better. There you go. Ding, ding, ding. Don't have enough sense to know better. That's really the perfect answer right there. You do fine, Bill. You do fine. You do fine. And Bill's jammed with us a number of times at some of our jams. He's been to Dickey's with us and jamming there, and a couple other places, I think. Kathy Voles, wow, that was some wonderful singing, Jerry. Well, thank you. That's always been one of my favorite songs ever since I heard him do it back whenever he did it. Johnny Rodriguez put a pretty good stamp on that one himself. He did a fine job on that song. Christia Thomason, I have a much smaller antenna on my car, 2010 model. Okay. Yeah, I've seen those little short ones, not too long, the ones that are maybe a foot long or something. And I remember those being around for quite a while. But this type that sit up there on the front of your, on the passenger's corner of the window area right there, that's I've got it off camera, but that's where they pretty much stood, was right there and at the corner of the passenger's window. This thing's tall. I mean, I don't have it extended all the way out because it won't come out. But right now, I mean, it's on the ground, so that's close to 4 feet right there, And it looks like it would extend out some more, so it's every bit of 4 feet and maybe some more beyond that. Y'all, life has changed. Chip Woods, let's keep digging. You might find the whole vehicle. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all, really. Especially in a cow lot like that, because, what I dug that out of, 50 years ago was probably all cow manure. Bo Horn, Newton Horn, I have an antenna on my 2018 Ram truck. Well, I'll be darned. I haven't seen them in a long time. Not like this, anyway. I haven't noticed them, anyway. All of it seemed like they have the antennas in the windows now, those wires, or that was and I don't even think you see that anymore. They've got them more disguised than that now. And Preston says, there's one on my 2014 Chevy pickup from the factory. Well, there you go. Okay. Well, then it's just me. Theron Corbett, my city leaders were bragging about the $500,000 art they purchased for the new $75 million aquatic center. Boy, it must be nice to spend someone else's money. Yeah, $500,000 worth of art. And that wouldn't be so bad if it was really art. Half the stuff they buy, like they did in St. Louis with that Sarah sculpture, which I even hate to use the word sculpture. The Sarah junk pile, scrap metal, the Sarah scrap metal that they piled up there. That is the dumbest. I mean, I've seen lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of art all over the world, and without question, that Sarah sculpture that they have in St. Louis is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. There ain't nothing even that compares to it. I mean, there's a lot of things you look at, you go, I don't know. You want to call that art, that's fine. The Sarah scrap pile, it ain't art at all. It ain't even sort of similar to art. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And they spent, I don't remember, 200,000, 100,000. It was in the 3-digit 100,000 range. I don't remember what they spent on it. Dumbest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. John Warren, Jerry, they're still putting antennas on trucks. My recently purchased Titan XD has one. Well, boy, I sure didn't know that. I don't buy a lot of trucks. Seriously didn't know it. Are they the kind that actually raise up and down? Now, I have seen the solid wire ones. I've seen the solid wire ones, that stand up about 24 inches or something. I've seen those. But like this, the kind that push in and out, the old style antenna, are they still putting these on cars and trucks? I don't think so. Maybe they are. If they are, I sure don't know about it. This kind. The short, solid ones, yeah, I have seen those. I haven't seen that kind in a long, long time. So tell me if I'm wrong about that. Let's see here. I think it skipped on me or something. I think I've lost my place. The Outboard Tinkerer. Hi, Jerry. You could attach a magnet to that old car antenna. LOL. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely could. To reach down in quite a ways. That thing will go in a long, long distance. Bill Webb. Philip Sharp is too short. Move saddle back. Oh, Sharp is too short. Move saddle back toward the end. Flat is too long, or I always say flat is too far back because of the F, far back. Short is Sharp is short, and flat is far back. That's the way I remember it. So it's too far back, and so you have to move it closer. Let's see, moving on down. Ben Boyd. Hey, Jerry, why are drums typically not used in bluegrass music? Mostly because Bill didn't do it, but although he did do it occasionally in different places. But, have you ever heard Bill Monroe's recording of My Last Days on Earth? I think it's a song. It's an instrumental number he wrote. I mean, it's got a choir in it. It's got all kinds of craziness, orchestras and everything in it. And the mandolin, of course, is on the forefront of it. And it's a killer tune. It really is. But it's also as depressing as it can be in terms for something that has no words. The music is so depressing. It sounds like your last day on earth. I mean, it really does. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but you need to listen to it if you haven't. It's beautifully done. It's just a beautiful song. But it also, you don't want to listen to it on your day when you're really feeling down. But no, I don't know. It's mostly because Bill didn't do it, and I would say that's 3/4 of it right there. But there are, some people do use them, but like you said, it's not typical. Cup of Cool. I personally know 4 people that have lost their toes to chainsaws and lawnmowers. Just slow down and be extra careful. Yeah, I wasn't really going all that fast. It's just when those rocks slip out from under you, there's not much you can do about it on those steep. I'm talking, these are steep hillsides, guys. It's hard to just stand on them using a chainsaw. That's why I don't do that anymore. I pull them up on the flat ground. Once that happened, I said, well, that was close enough. I think that's a message you need to learn from those kinds of things and not do them again, And so I learned. Bill Webbs, thank you, Jerry. That means a lot. Yeah, you do a fine job. You do a fine job. Could be a CB antenna. Yeah, I guess it's possible. It's possible. It does look like the typical kind that you saw on cars, though. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And, of course, the CB antennas back then were about the same anyway. So it could be that. Ronald Todd, late 50s Chevys had those antennas on their rear fenders. Yeah, that's true. There were some cars that had them on the rear as well. But I would say the majority, at least the ones that I remember, had them there in the passenger's corner window there. But yeah, some of the sportier Chevys, I remember later, had them on the rear end, pointed backwards, kind of like they were going fast, that kind of thing. Carolyn Fike says, the 2016 Ford pickup had a short antenna that hardly worked. The service manager went in and found a long one. Problem solved. Yep. Yeah, I've seen the solid short ones, but I haven't seen these telescoping ones for a long time. I don't know. At least I don't remember seeing them, but they're probably out there. I don't know much about cars. Yeah, Preston says you're right. Movable antennas. Mine is solid. Yeah, yeah. The solid ones I've seen quite a bit, but I haven't seen the movable. I should have been more clear at the beginning. Bill Webb, the crackheads in Greenville love the old style antennas like that. They'd break them off and use the section smoke crack. Wouldn't surprise me either. Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you cannot fix stupid, like somebody said already. You can't fix stupid. Jerry, you need to look up Talus Dome, Edmonton, if you want to see an overpriced sculpture. Talus Dome, Edmonton. I'll look at it, I guess. I wasn't even complaining so much about the price, even though it was a stupid price to pay for the Sarah scrap pile. I was complaining that they called it art. Seriously. I mean, all they did was just take giant pieces of steel this thick, giant, 8 foot high, 20 feet long, and they just stuck them in the ground, standing them up on edge, and they put them in a few places, and it didn't even have any decent form to it at all. Just stupid. Completely stupid. Any moron with a half a brain could have done something that looked better than that. You want to know how I really feel about it? Again, they'd take my channel down. Talus Dome. I wrote it down. I'll try to look that up. Because there are some stupid things in this world. And again, see, let me also say that was also a government thing. That was a taxpayers' dollars funded thing for the city of St. Louis. Whew. Pitiful. Pitiful. Just plain pitiful. Yeah, telescoping antennas. Yep, that's what they're called. Steve Morgan, on the short antenna, the actual wire is wrapped around a central core. It would be a lot longer if unwrapped. When that was produced, most AM radio stations were low powered. Okay. Sidecar Bob, when I was a teen, my guitar teacher had a guitar made by Jean-Claude Larrivee himself when his shop was in Toronto. That was a long time ago. Cool. They moved production to California over 10 years ago. Oh, okay. I didn't know that either. I don't know any history on the company. I know it was a Canadian-based company. I thought this said Canada in it, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, it does. It says Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So this is an older guitar, I guess. I mean, I don't know what year it is. I think I've given it already, but let's see if I can see the serial number. 23. Wow. I can't read it very good. 61. It's not very clear. Boy, I don't know. 23617 maybe? Yeah, 7, I think it is. Hard to see it. And it's the only thing it's got above that is a J, I think. Boy, nothing's clear in there this morning. No, it's a 10. It's a 10 in there. That's what it is. It's not a J. The 10 is above the serial number. Anyway. Glenn Woods, approximately 1996, 97, I think. Is okay. That probably makes sense. I would have even guessed before that. I would have guessed the 80s for these telescoping antennas like this. There's a lot of work to making those kinds of things. It's got to be a lot cheaper to make them one solid piece or whatever. And even if it is a wire wrapped around it, it would still be a lot cheaper to make that versus this type of thing. Well, some of them have a wire wrapped around them, but some of them are just a slick steel antenna. Slick steel and only maybe 2 feet long. But some of them have like a plastic wrapping and you can see a wire curling up. But not all of them have that. So some of them are just slick little short pieces of steel. Way cheaper to produce that than to produce this thing. So anyway, and you know how it is. They're going to save every penny they can save. Cup of Cool. I think what you're saying is they would have been better pounding sand in an anthill instead of the Sarah scrap pile. Oh, pitiful. Just pitiful. Sir, if you haven't seen it, you should look it up. Sarah Sculpture in St. Louis. I guarantee you'll agree with me. It is the dumbest sculpture. It's not a sculpture. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen piled in a city. Why they would do that, I have no idea ever at all. And the moment they put it out there, I mean, like the moment they put it up, there was graffiti all over it. And the main graffiti kept saying this over and over was, and I'm not trying to be racist, I'm just reading it the way they wrote it, okay? And they wrote, get rid of dis, D-I-S, St. Louis. Get rid of dis, St. Louis. And yeah, there you go. And it was written all over it. Get rid of this, St. Louis. And man, I couldn't agree with them more. It wasn't me. I didn't write the graffiti. Let's see. and the other negative of that was, and I'm not making this up either, I was on like the 10th or 11th floor of the 1010 Pine telephone building in downtown St. Louis, which is one of the headquarters buildings. And out my window, looking right down, was the Sarah scrap pile. I was probably anybody in that building was the closest you could get to it. I mean, there was no other buildings as close as we were. Pitiful, just pitiful. And I appreciated it so much. Okay, let's see. Glenn Woods says, I mean the Larrivee. Okay, 96, 97 was the Larrivee. That's what he was talking about. Okay. Spike Moto. Hi, Jerry. I really like the sound of the Larrivee J10. Do you see many jumbo guitars being played in the bluegrass world? Not very many. We've seen a number of them over the years. Typically, they're people that are not what you would call hardcore bluegrassers. They're more like folk guitarists setting in on a bluegrass jam, that kind of thing. But that would fit in any bluegrass jam. I mean, in terms of sound and all that, that'd blend right in. Wouldn't be no problem at all. It's got plenty of punch. It's got a lot of sound. It's a good guitar. You might think it's self-serving for me to brag on something. If it ain't that good, I'll tell you it ain't that good. It's a good guitar. If it's just mediocre, I'll say, well, this is a pretty decent guitar. It's mediocre, that kind of thing. But I'm not gonna lie to you one way or the other, and I'm not gonna tell you it's mediocre when it's really good. It's a really good guitar. I'm sure whoever gets it's gonna be happy. I'm positive. Theron Corbett, if that's the art they chose, imagine what the other choices look like. Yeah, I'd hate to think. It's pitiful. I seriously can't even tell you how bad it was. There's no way to there's no words that can describe something that bad. It's just pitiful. And the jerk Sarah was there when they installed it. I mean, I was watching him out my window, and I am not kidding you. It was so stupid. It made me so mad. I just wanted to go down there and just grab the guy and shake him. I mean, I really did. It was angry because he's down there like these giant cranes. I mean, it probably cost $100,000 just to install the sculpture. because they had these giant cranes, because, you know, a little crane ain't going to pick up a piece of steel that's dang near 3 inches thick, 8 feet tall, and 20 feet long. Do you have any idea how much that weighs? I mean, we are talking some weight there. Probably weighs 100 cars worth. I mean, it's crazy, ridiculous heavy. I mean, seriously, you could probably make 100 cars out of that. So, and there's a bunch of those. There's like, I don't know, 10 or 12 of those things, maybe more. And he's out there, these big cranes are lifting these things and they're setting them down. And he's looking, he's down here like this. He's looking at it like he really cares. And you can just see him doing this. And he's looking at this and no, just get it out of here. Just get it out of here. That ain't no good. And they'd send them back and they'd have to get a different piece of steel. It wasn't perfectly straight or something or whatever. Oh, I wanted to go down there and kill a guy. I really did. I wanted to just go down there and punch him in the face. And so he's calling them off, like, just get rid of that one, you know, and they'd put it back on the flatbed truck and haul it off. It was sad, man. It was so sad. Oh, that's when you know you just got money just rolling out of your ears. Just you don't need for nothing if you can spend money on something like that. And spend that much money on it. Pitiful. Just think all the homeless people that could have helped. Just pitiful. It's terrible. It's so terrible. Carolyn Fikes, that sounds like the Emperor's New Clothes of Art. Well, that one went over my head. I don't know what that means. Emperor's New Clothes of Art. Is that something I can look up? I don't know what that means. I'll try to look it up and see what that says, what that means. Chuck Heidbreder, the wire that curls up the antenna is to prevent the antenna from whistling in the wind. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. They do that on tall smokestacks too. They put things that go around them. So yeah, you're probably right on that. I thought that was part of the signal. I didn't know what it was. Sidecar Bob, a lot of so-called art in public spaces falls under the Emperor's New Clothes. Emperor's New Clothes. I do not know. Man, this is a term I've never heard before. Emperor's New Clothes. I don't know where I've been, but I don't know nothing about this. Chipwood. My 1970 Dodge pickup had 260,000 plus miles and a coat hanger for an antenna. We've been there, done that. You know, ding, ding, ding. We got something in common. Carolyn Fike, remember telescoping antennas on luxury cars in the 50s that disappeared? Yeah, some of those really expensive ones did. They would go up and down automatically when you push the button. Boy, you knew you had something then when you had that. I remember that. Oh, I still want to go punch Sarah in the face. I really do. It wasn't his fault either. I mean, we were stupid enough to buy that stupid thing from this guy. I cannot believe it. Just terrible. Pitiful. Guys, that's going to be it. 142 viewers. I must have really made some people mad. Probably the comments about the art. They probably loved it. Anyway, I'll see you probably Monday, I guess, with something else. Hopefully we'll get a video out for the weekend. Save up your comments. We'll talk Monday. Thanks.